Okay, go.
We're good?
Yep.
Howdy folks, sorry for the delay. Actually, we were here early, ready to go. And then as we get ready to hook up, something goes wrong with the internet. Kyle's here with us tonight, Kyle Perel from Newfoundland. He's my assistant this week.
Feel free to ask him any questions.
Pardon? Feel free to ask him any questions. Yeah, he'll come on and answer. Wood in Newfoundland, what do Newfies do with wood? Come where you're at and I'll go where you're to. All those things. What did Bruce say tonight? So he's been staying with Jake and his family, and now he's influencing. So little Bruce.
Let go to my pants.
Oh, I was picking him up by his pants. He goes, let go to my pants. It's Newfie for let go of my pants. Okay, questions, ask me anything. This is tomorrow. Tomorrow our class will arrive. Spent the day painting overhead. Wiped out. Tomorrow, class number 37 arrives. If we can find the list, I'll read and tell you who the vets are that are coming. Rick, you got a question?
Sure do. Got lots of them from the chat tonight, which is excellent. First one that I saw was from Robert McCluskey.
Hey, Robert.
It says, I have a laminated tabletop 2 feet by 4. How do I attach it to the keg assembly to make a professional workbench?
Okay, say that again, please.
I have a laminated tabletop 2 feet by 4.
2 feet wide, 4 feet long.
How do I attach it to the keg assembly to make a professional workbench?
I'm not hearing the word you're saying.
How do I attach it to the keg assembly?
Keg?
Maybe it means
That
leg.
could be leg.
Leg assembly?
K is next to L.
Oh. How do I
Make a
attach it to the
professional
leg
work.
assembly, and what is he making?
He wants to make a professional workbench.
Oh, well, I'll turn that one over to Kyle. That would be a Kyle question. Kyle? How would I attach a 2 foot by 4 foot laminated top to the leg assembly to make a workbench? Well, you want it to be sturdy, number one. So whatever you do in the base, it's got to be strong. I would suggest, if you're going to do it with 4 legs, then you have to have stretchers running top and bottom on all 4 sides. So that'll make that thing nice and rigid. And then, if it's a laminated top, I'm assuming you're telling me that it's stable, it's not going to move, so you don't have to worry about seasonal expansion. In that case, you can just drill and bolt right up through the bottom of the stretchers into the table. If you do have to worry about seasonal expansion, then you can fasten it securely in the middle. So your thing is 2 feet wide, fasten it securely in the middle. That means the bolt goes through a hole that's the same size as the bolt, doesn't move. All the other bolt holes have to be larger diameter by maybe 1/4 of an inch than the bolt. The hole has to be larger than the bolt. Put a big washer on the outside, and that way you can bolt it up tight and it'll still allow it to creep, move this way, that way. As far as fastening your stretchers, those are the horizontal pieces to the legs. There's your leg. You're gonna want a stretcher down here. You're gonna want one here, flush with the top, so you can fasten this right to the underside. This one, I would do mortise and tenon joinery. Make it nice and strong. And other than that, that's a pretty simple build, but you just want it to be good and strong. Okay, let me know how you make out. Next, Rick.
Next one's from Ian Carey
Hi, Ian. Where is he?
in the chat. They're all in the chat.
Tell us where you're from. I'd like to know where you're from. So when you ask a question, say, this is Ian from Russia. Where is he from? No, you don't know. What's the question?
How would you shoot the end of thick timbers, such as +2 inch furniture legs with hand tools?
How would you shoot the ends? Well, if you, you could do it with your 5.5. If you're assuming it's going to be thicker than that, your bench plane, the widest one you can use is number 8, and that's going to give you 2 5/8. So, say you can shoot 2.5 inches. If it's wider than your plane, then you can't do it in 2 stages on your shooting board. Fireworks? I suppose what I would do at that point is I would score a line. No, wouldn't even do that. I would just put it in the bench. Give me a big, thick piece. Oh, there, yeah, go ahead. Look at you just sitting there waiting for a, you're Johnny on the spot. I don't think, I can't get this in my, shoot, can't get that in my bench.
Way to go, Kyle.
Yeah, you had to pick me a bad one. Anyway, I would have scored a line all the way around and then just planed the top, just like you would. Just like you would anything else. Just can't use the shooting board, obviously, with something that size. Try another one, Frick, please.
Try another question.
Yep.
This next one's from Nan Fangyu.
Dan?
Nan, it says.
Nan? As in Nana Hilchi?
Sure.
Probably asking questions.
I'm interested in side rabbet planes. They seem handy for widening dados, but I don't see many people using them. Wood River and Lee Nielsen all sell them. Do you use or recommend? Thanks.
I have one. Rarely use it. So if I'm cutting a shelf to fit into a dado, the dado is the standard. You adjust the shelf, the tenon or the tongue on the shelf. So doesn't get used a lot. It's a little bit finicky to set up. I've got the Lee Nielsen version. I can only think of 1 or 2 times in my career that I actually used them. I'm not even sure why I kept them, but they have a little spot in the cabinet, so I guess that's why. So I don't, there's ones that you can get that it's one tool, you can cut either direction. It's not a, I could live without it. So if you're thinking of spending money on some tools, that probably wouldn't be very high up on my list. But I like the Lee Nielsen one. I want to show you something. So we're back to working on the desk. And all of the drawer boxes are made out of Baltic birch, banded on the front with Macassar ebony. Then they're going to, so there's going to be one on either side. This side won't have anything on it because it's going to go up against the inside of the desk. So this is going to be veneered with Macassar ebony veneer. And the drawer fronts are going to be Macassar ebony solid and then veneered on the front so the grain runs all the way. Anyway, so this stuff was I think it was $125, $130 a board foot. So I've been trying, I'll show you what I did. So these are the individual dividers between the drawers, and there's going to be a recess cut in here, right? A little recess so you can put your hand in there and reach up underneath to pull the drawer open. So you got to be able to, you want to see Macassar the whole time. So rather than put a big wide band on there, I cut out and set a piece in here and then just put a 1/4-inch band on the front. And that procedure on 8 of those dividers saved how much, Jake? 167 or I think something like that. There's a substantial savings. So that was the offcut. And so we wanted to figure, well, what is that actually worth? How much did that cost? And that was 37 cents for that little piece of...
No, it was 24 cents and we were going to sell it to them.
No.
24, 26.
No, it was more. I said, I'll sell it to you for $1/4. I got it right here. Go to the end of my bench, pull out my notes. Actually, you know what? I think I did it on the... I did all the calculating on one of these. So let me look one more. Okay, maybe I didn't. I thought I did. One more. This is time well spent. Shoot. Well, we figured it out somewhere. Next question, Frick.
Next one's from J.H. Campbell.
Where's he from?
I have like 10 questions that came in before you asked everyone to
Oh,
say.
okay.
Mr.
Love to know
Cosman,
where you're
thank you
from.
for all your woodworking advice. Could you please tell me about your bench dogs? What is their dimension, spacing, and angle used? Thank you.
Yeah, I will. Hate not being able to find that. You know. Bench dogs. These ones are worn out. They've got to be replaced. Spacing, Jake. My measuring tape has disappeared, so I have to go to my backup. Trusty backup. Spacing, they are on,
Problematic.
what?
Your spacing.
No, it's not. 4-inch centers. And I think I went 4-inch centers all the way. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. 4-inch centers all the way. The bench dog itself is 5 inches long, 1 inch wide, strong 7/8 of an inch thick. And the only thing that would be unique about it is, Jake, do you want to get a close-up on this? So you need to have something to prevent the bench dog from falling out, and you want it to be able to stay in position wherever you want to use it. So I have a piece of babinga, and it's cut in the shape of a fat T, if you can see. And then the opening to receive it in the bench dog itself is an even fatter T. And I took the little springs out of a couple of ballpoint pens.
Okay, you're back.
Okay.
Sorry about that, folks.
That wasn't for station identification. So I was just about, yeah, you asked me about the slope.
Yeah,
No,
What?
you cut out after little springs.
Oh, really? They missed all that?
Yeah.
So, where? Like, I explained how it works?
You were talking about.
Well, let me go back again. So I drilled 2 holes about 1/2 inch deep in the actual body of the dog. A little bit larger diameter than the springs. And then I drilled the same size hole, only about a 1/16 of an inch deep, on the underside of the movable piece, the piece of babinga. And it lines up with the holes that I drilled in the dogs when this babinga piece is in place. So I had to get by the first one. How did I do that? So this was the tricky part. So when you're going to put the springs in, you got to compress the spring and then slide the babinga piece in, but you don't want that first spring going up into that hole. So I must have put a piece of tape or piece of paper or something on the bottom side that would just keep that from allowing the spring to babinga. So the first hole on the underside got by that first hole. I pulled the paper out and then continued to slide it along. And the next stop would be when the 2 holes line up. Spring goes bing up into the 2 little spots, and now you've got your tension, and it can go either way, which means nothing. It'll just always hold. Stays in place. Now, the next question was the angle. So all of the ones on this side of the bench are sloped this way, and all the ones on the movable dog strip are sloped that way. So that when you clamp something, if you had them perpendicular like this and you clamp something, they're gonna bend a little bit this way, and that'll pop, your piece will pop up. So instead you have them like this, so they're opposing each other. And then you can tap your dogs down and it'll pull it down tight to the bench. I think it's 3 degrees. If it's not 3, it's 4, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. Doesn't have to be a lot. And you want them to be really close fitting. These ones have 14 years of use, so they're worn out. I need new ones. I'll do that someday. Make a video of it. Next, Rick.
Next one's from Tim Beach.
Hi, Tim.
I own one of your Baltic birch top workbenches, and I was wondering if a shoulder vise could be added to your bench. If so, how deep should one make it if the workpieces are rarely 3/4 inch thick? Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on pause because we drew that up. We'll have the plans available sometime.
Wait.
Yeah,
We drew up, wait,
Max drew them up.
yeah, but what's he talking about?
Adding a shoulder
Right,
vise.
is he talking about adding
Well, read the question again, please, Frank.
I have one of your Baltic birch top workbenches, and I was wondering if a shoulder vise can be added to your bench.
Okay, and what's his name?
Tim Beach.
Tim, I need you to answer this question. Are you talking about Scandinavian style shoulder vise like this, or are you simply talking about adding another Schoberg vise to the this side, where we would call it a shoulder vise? Yeah, you clarify that, and then I can answer that for you better. Next, Rick.
Next one's from Dave M.
You want to get Kyle sneaking in? Dave, where's Dave?
In the chat.
What's up, Dave? Kyle.
Dave says, any advice on what to look for or watch out for when purchasing a second-hand drill press?
Yeah. First thing I would do is bring the quill all the way down and then grab your chuck and see how much movement there is. And if it seems like, wow, there's a lot of play, that run out will haunt you when you want it to be good. So that's, if there's too much play, then I don't care about the rest of it. I don't want it. So you want one that's, there may be some adjustment. You may be able to adjust it a little bit to take some of that play out if you can, and you can remove it, then it's still good. It's a pretty simple machine. What goes in them? If the bearings go, they can be replaced. It's nice if you spend a little more money and get a variable speed, electronically variable speed, as opposed to this one. This one, we have to, in order to change the speed. And I don't very often, just because it's a pain. Well, not a pain, but I mean it's...
But it's also only 6 speeds.
Yeah, this is actually a nice one because you don't have to you don't have to push the motor back or forward. You can use the exact same setting on all of them, so they're spaced that way. But there's other ones where you just turn the dial to increase or decrease the speed, which would be nice. You definitely want an adjustment, a height adjustment. That didn't come standard on these generals. And as a result, that option that they made was $700, I think. Crazy. So the downside to this one model is when you loosen it, if you're not holding on to it, boom. There's a collar underneath that they had to prevent it from dropping, but it'll end up on your feet. I like to have a nice heavy base, unless you're going to be able to bolt it to your shop floor. You don't want it tipping over. That's probably it. Show you a picture. So St. John Airport is YSJ, and they have 4 art displays in the lobby. Each one is behind glass. It's 2 feet by 2 feet by 4 feet tall. And I was traveling through there recently, and I thought, wow, we should put our stuff in there. So I got a hold of the airport, and then I got a hold of, they told me who was in charge of it. And I know her because she used to have a gallery that I used to sell my stuff through. So she liked what we were doing with the Purple Heart Project. She said, well, Rob, you can have all 4 for 3 months. I said, well, how much? She goes, no, for free. So we just set up our display. Kyle's in it. So I had 4 vets. So each display has some of our tools in it and a piece of work, along with the picture of a vet with a little flag from the country he's from and a write-up. So Kyle represented Canada. Tony Payne represented Australia. Casper, I can't even pronounce Casper's last name, so we just call him Casper. Casper Vaughn represented Denmark, and Jeff O'Connor represented US. So we'll go out there some night and do a little video and show you. It's not 100% complete because being as we're a bilingual province, it has to be in French and English, and the translator wasn't done working on it. They're having a hard time deciphering Newfoundlandese and converting it to French. So this is this picture. I'm going to change it, but this is our shop staff -2. So I figure we'll take it again and we'll get everybody in there. Next.
Next is from Michael Plant in the chat.
Hi, Michael.
Can you talk about how you adjust spoke shaves?
Tim Beach.
Oh, did he?
Tim,
Can you answer that one really quick?
say it again. You threw me.
How do you adjust spoke shaves?
Well, they're a pain. That's how. Now, there's 2 different styles. So this one, you just loosen the lever cap a little bit, and you've got 2 adjustments, and they're made in such a way that you can retract or advance. There's 2 little slots in the blade, but they're not a big fan of that one. This is a Lee Nielsen, the Preston model, and the only adjustment you can do on this is just tap it. So, should I read that response that we got from last week? I'll leave his name out, but just read it. I think so. So you want the blade to cut a full width shaving, and if it doesn't, then you have to adjust it one side or the other, and the easiest way to do that is just take a little hammer and just tap a little bit one side or the other, tap a little bit to make it cut a little heavier. This is designed for a much smaller piece. Now this doesn't have a very big throat either, so you can't take a real heavy shaving with it. But your best bet is just to have a little hammer that you can tap with, unless it has adjustment screws. Next, Rick.
So Tim Beach, he said he's from Cedar Park, Texas.
Cedar Park?
Cedar Park, Texas. And the question was about a Scandinavian shoulder vise.
Chaos. Scandinavian shoulder vise, good. So we designed it. We've had it drawn up. I'm going to make a prototype, and then you'll be able to get it. So Chris Davenport, who is our main engineer, is back to work part-time. He's recovering. He spent 2 months in ICU. Way to recover, Chris. And we had Al's son, who was a computer science student, worked co-op with us this summer. So he drew them, and then Chris will go in and do whatever final touches need to be done. And so yes, the answer is yes, and it's difficult to explain, but the plans are coming. Next, Rick.
Next one's from Chris in the chat. Rob, what is your thoughts on not having vise on your bench and using Wonder Dogs and Holdfast instead?
Don't like Holdfast. Don't use them. So I prefer the traditional shoulder vise, tail vise. What was the other thing, the device he asked me? You said?
You said Holdfast and Wonder Dogs.
I don't know what a Wonder Dog is. I had one time. The name was Happy. Great dog. Don't know what they are. But I like what I have. I've never been wanting for anything other than this. Occasionally I clamp things, so I keep this area right here clear so that I can always run that clamp underneath. So I mean, after a while you just adapt to what you have. Nothing wrong with bench or Holdfast if you want it. I mean, I've seen people who cut dovetails and they use a Holdfast to hold in place, but kind of gets in my way. I like to be a little bit quicker than that, and I don't find I need to clamp something down. So I don't. Next, Rick. We're going to do the second half of this, by the way, Thursday night, and that's when all the guys will be here, so we'll go around the room and everyone will have a chance to meet them and see how they're doing with their work. And the guys actually start flying in tomorrow to Bangor, Maine, and then Kyle will go down and pick them up. What?
They're all there.
They're all there?
Yeah.
What today? Oh, this is Sunday. Oh, shoot, I was thinking it was Friday. Yeah, they're all there. Hi. Kyle's coming to get you. Next, Rick.
Next one comes from Jeff Hassey.
Jack?
Jeff Hass.
Jeff.
It's either Hass or Hassey.
Hi, Jeff. Where are you from?
What?
Where's he from?
No. Is there some sort of design guideline useful to determine the length of the legs for a tall, upright cabinet?
A tall, upright cabinet. Well, I don't know what you're going to do with that cabinet. A tall, upright cabinet. And he wants to know how, yeah, that's, I'm sorry, that's not specific of enough question for me to give you an answer, but I will say this. Tom Moser, who died not that long ago, wrote a couple of books on building shaker furniture. And in there he gave lots of, he gave you the plans to them, building shaker furniture and plans for shaker furniture, I think was the second one. But it will give you lots of examples of different cabinets, pieces of furniture, and it'll give you the heights and you can go from there. But I mean, if you're doing it for a specific purpose, then you can obviously make it suit, but without knowing what that is, I can't really guide you. Rick?
Next one's from Greg McGowan. He says, Rob, what traditional woodworking tool that you don't have would you like to have and why?
What traditional woodworking tool I don't have that I would like to have? Well, I can tell you some of the ones that I've procured over the last little bit. I have the Stanley 5152, which is the shooting board. I don't use it, I just like it. I have all of the bedrock planes from 2 through to 8. I have a Stanley dowel maker that I bought, including all the pieces are in the box that I have yet to get it working, but that was an interesting find. I have an old hand-cranked grinding stone, which is cool. Don't use it a lot, but it's neat to use. I have a drill press, a pillar drill it was called, a hand-operated, that's really neat. I've seen pedal-operated table saws, not really in the mood for that. I don't know if there is one that I don't think there is. Well, no, there is. The one for post and beam construction, and it was a drill press that you set on the beam, and you would but you would operate it with 2 hands to drill out your mortises. That was kind of neat, but what would I do with it? Where would I put it? We're so crammed for space. I don't think there is. I've got some infills, really cool. I've got some old dovetail saws, like them, don't use them, but I like them, appreciate them. Yeah, I don't think there is.
I texted you what you wanted to read.
Oh yeah, well, got another one, Frick?
Yep. Next one's from Chelsea in the chat.
Can you get my phone to come work, Jake? Chelsea in the chat.
She says, can you give any tips on decorative edging techniques, please? I have a limited hand tools and would like to enhance the appeal of the items I make.
Decorative edging techniques, and she has limited tools. I didn't hear the last part.
I would like to enhance the appeal of the items I make.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, so the simple ones, I'll show you. The simple ones are just a chamfer. So that's easy. Actually, I have a chamfer plane, just missing the front knob. Jake lost, gave away, never recovered.
So we can make mine.
That would be nice to get back. But you can get good at this by hand. So you just, I always keep my hand in the same spot on my left side, and that cuts a chamfer. You want it to be even, meaning you don't want it to be wider at one end than the other. And if you are going across the end, you want to do that first, because that will frequently break out on this side, and then you can get rid of that breakout when you're going lengthwise. Close your throat down if your grain changes direction on you. That's simple. That's nice. If you want to bring it up one, then you can find or make a beading tool, and that allows you to go in and cut a neat little bead on the edge. And if you're going to do that and you want to go all the way around the inside, then you have to miter the pieces so that your little bead will line up. If you're dovetailing, you would do what's called a mitered edge dovetail. Now, if you want to get into more fancy like a Roman ogee or something like that, you could find some old planes. If you're doing it entirely by hand, shoot. I don't know what to tell you. And you can all. She didn't say what tools she had. She said she had limited tools. And then you don't have, this is a 45, so you could change the angle, which would give you a different look. You play around with that. I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank as to what else you could do with limited hand tools. Sorry, you're catching me flat-footed. There's two anyway. I want to read you something. So we filmed we did this last Saturday, and this was shortly after Charlie Kirk had been assassinated, and I really don't care what your opinion is on Charlie Kirk's politics. Young man, same age as Jake, 2 children, was assassinated in front of his family was there, correct? No, they weren't, and that was terrible. That was terrible. Now, I hear all kinds of bad stuff about him, but, you know, I've often watched his videos, and I never heard anything that was even remotely objectionable. Anyway, so I said much respect to Charlie Kirk. And I had a guy, I'd love to say his name, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to read you what he sent me, and I'll tell you about my disappointment. Just wanted to drop a line to let you know that I will no longer be supporting the Purple Heart Project, or purchasing or recommending RC products, or watching the show. Rob once called me after I made a purchase, and I thought it was one of the nicest experiences, and the brief conversation has always been a huge highlight for me, as I've always admired Rob, and I have been a huge champion of his ever since. However, your comment of much respect for Charlie Kirk is shameful and heartbreaking, and I simply cannot go on supporting you or any of your endeavors. I do wish you all the best, and hopefully someday you'll see that you have made a mistake and will correct it. See you later. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I will not miss you as a customer. I will not miss you here and there. So, besides all that, I can't believe that as a U.S. citizen, you would drop support for soldiers that gave you the freedom to be able to speak your mind because you don't like the fact that I said much respect to Charlie Kirk. Really. Says an awful lot about you, the individual that wrote that. Oh, talk about get under my skin. Anyway.
Question from Ken Miller. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup this year, and why won't it be Toronto?
What was the question?
Who's going to win the Stanley Cup this year, and why won't it be Toronto?
Well, it won't be Toronto because they're allergic to the cup. And I have a hard time believing a Canadian team will ever win as long as the CEO of the National Hockey League wants it to be in the United States all the time. So, you know what? I play 3 times a week year round. I only watch a couple of games during the Stanley Cup. I don't have time to watch and play, and I never saw anybody get in shape watching, so I play. That's all I can tell you. Next, Frick.
This one's from Cap21R. That's a username in the chat. What material thickness is best for houndstooth drawers?
What material is best for houndstooth drawers?
What material thickness?
Oh, material thickness for houndstooth? Well, the only place where you're going to want some thickness is in the front, which has the pins. If you had a really small, really thin drawer front, it would be really difficult to get 2 layers of tails, a small houndstooth in there. So, but you can certainly do it with 3/4. I usually go 13/16, maybe even 7/8, depending on the size of the drawer. You don't want to be too thick without a problem. But trying to do that in a 1/2-inch piece, that would be tricky. It's just when it gets, I try to tell people, I said, cutting a small row of dovetails is a heck of a lot harder than cutting what I would call drawer-sized dovetails. You have no space to work, and it's harder to see. Next, Rick. Oh, we getting any donations tonight? I forgot to ask. So, I assume everybody on here knows, but under the assumption that somebody's watching for the first time. So 6 times a year we host what's called the Purple Heart Project. This is a charity that Jake and I started 10 years ago in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Responded to a young combat wounded Marine named Jesse Pratis from Southern California, who wanted to buy one of my saws but didn't have the money for a new one, looking for one with cosmetic flaws. Mentioned in the email that ever since he got involved in hand tool woodworking, it's the first time he found any peace from the physical and the mental pain he suffers from. And that really resonated with me. I have no military service, but I had been teaching adults hand tool woodworking in earnest since 2000. And what I observed was they would show up at my class on Monday, stressed out from life. And the average guy coming to my class, I didn't have very many females, only a handful over the time, would be a 50-year-old business type that was, the office wouldn't leave him alone, phone rang constantly. Show up, stressed out Monday. Friday night at midnight, I'd be telling them, you gotta leave, it's over, you gotta go home. But chill was the word. So I just remember thinking, I said, wow, maybe this is something we should be doing for these combat wounded vets. And we reached out on a limb, and first class was phenomenal, and we decided this is what we need to do. So we've been in it 10 years. We've had about 250 wounded vets from 5 different countries. Denmark, Australia, Ireland, United States, and Canada, the majority from the US. Come through our program. It's now 6 days long. We run from 7:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. We house them, we feed them. Every vet at the end of it gets to take home the tools that he was given, which is about $4,000 worth in US dollars. We have a bench brigade, which is an organization that Jack Lane helped me put together about 4 years ago, maybe. And that's volunteers from all over the world that, when asked, build a bench to our specs and deliver it to the vet, hopefully in person. So, great program. Costs $350,000 US, at least that was last year's numbers, to run this. We cover their airfare or their travel expenses. We house them, we feed them, and everything is covered. So, last year was the first year, thanks to my friend John in Florida. Last year was the first year that we actually raised enough money outside of what we kick in to cover the costs. Luther came along in 2017, I think, and he has taken over the financial part of it, and turned it into a 501c3 in the United States. So we are in earnest, always raising money, trying to raise money, because that's what you need. That's the currency required to run the program. If you'd like to be a part of this, the reward for these guys is quite phenomenal. The majority of them tell you that it changed their life. Now, what is it about wood, hand tools that changes someone's life? Well, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. You might have to come and witness it yourself. But it does, and it gives them a distractive therapy, creative, all of those good things. So what we used to ask for donations, but you can imagine that when we're involving 42, hopefully we're going to increase it, 42 wounded vets each year, there's a lot to plan all this. And it's nice to know how much money we have in the bank. So what we've been asking for this last year was that people would sign up to make a, what do we call it? Recurring
Yeah.
donation. It just helps us, because then we know how much. So for every new recurring donations we get each night when we do this, we will give away about a $300 prize. So we'll put off tonight's, do it Thursday night when we have our live. And all that information is on there. You can get tax receipts. You can help, more importantly, you can help us help save a wounded soldier. And you can also spread the word. You know somebody that is sitting there at home suffering, let them know about what we do. We only get maybe 4 applications for each one we accept, so we're not flooded by any stretch. We do 1 class a month, April, May, June, July. We skip August, and then September, October. So we have this class starting tomorrow, and then in 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're gonna do our first ever intermediate class, where former alumni have qualified to come back and learn drawer making. And thanks to my friend John in Florida, who's financing this, all their expenses will be paid. It's going to be awesome. And then third week of October will be our final class for the year, class number 38. Go ahead, Frick.
Next one's from Jeremy in the chat.
Hi, Jeremy.
Sorry, my mic was muted. Jeremy in the chat says, what's a good finish for a Cosman moisture-resistant MDF bench?
What's a good finish for a Cosman moisture-resistant MDF? Well, I used to oil, but that's such a pain because it takes so long and it takes long to dry. We use lacquer. All I'm really interested in is just something that'll keep glue from sticking to the bench top. Excuse me. So lacquer is the easiest thing. Couple coats, all it takes. Spray it if you're set up. Brush it on if you're not. It's easy to repair. And the one I use is, well, it used to be Becker Chroma. It was purchased by somebody else. What's it called now, Jake?
I don't know.
Yeah. Look it up. Look for a lacquer that has that's certified for use in kitchens. So it gives you a little bit of water resistance. Most lacquers don't. But that's what I would do. And the other option is just to wipe on an oil. I like tung oil. It's a tung oil product. It's made by a company called Circa 1850. Next, Frick.
Okay, I need you to answer questions quicker because we have a ton.
You got 10 minutes.
Okay, I can stay. Go, fire.
We can. Sergey from San Francisco.
Sergey.
What is the optimal wood humidity to work with?
Well, that's going to vary from place to place. You're San Diego. I don't know if it's dry or damp. So whatever your relative humidity is in your house, check a piece of wood in your house that's been there. Find out what that moisture content is, and that's ideal because that means when you move whatever it is you build into your house, it won't change.
Anthony Elder says, "Hi Rob from Brome, Quebec." No, wait. I don't know. Maybe Quebec. Or New York, maybe. Do you have thoughts on using a 3D printer in the shop?
No.
he'd never be able to figure it out.
Very low tech.
Craig Ambridge. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Craig.
Could you use the wood hinge for the walnut tool cabinet to attach the leaves instead of, it says leaves, instead of butt hinges?
Yeah, could have, but didn't. It was complicated build as it was, but yeah, I mean, I've done that before on other things. So yes, yes, you can. I didn't, obviously.
Next one from Mario Procoli.
Mario?
Hi, Rob. After the big three, table saw, planer, and jointer, what would be your next major equipment purchase?
Drill press. Drill press gets used a lot. I probably use a drill press as much as my table saw.
Dave from Clinton Top, Michigan.
Hey, Dave?
When checking a joiner, what would be the max out of flat for each table, coplanar between tables, and left to right, meaning one table higher in one corner?
Wow. I'd want them to be as close as I could measure. Well, that's a tough one. They that's a tough call. I mean, 1.5 hours, I suppose, but that's, yeah. You want it to work. So what you want it to work so that when you flatten something and you lay it on a flat surface, it doesn't rock. You want it to work so when your fence is square to the table and you run a board over, you measure it and you cannot detect that it's out of square. So I wouldn't worry as much about the tolerances on the jointer as I would what does it produce. Because I can't tell you if it's out of thou, if it's going to produce a board that's not flat. So as long as it does, that's a tough one. I mean, we've got a big 16-inch over there that we got to dial in, and I've been putting it off for, how long have we had that?
3 years?
3 years, yeah. Not fun. I used to do all that stuff, and I don't like messing around with machines anymore. Get Jake to do it. Next, Rick.
This is from Cloverwood in the chat.
Cloverwood.
Other than lots of practice, any suggestions for keeping a saw plumb during vertical cuts?
Yeah. You want a handle that registers in your hand the same way every time you pick it up, so pistol grip is best. And you always want to make sure that your board that you're working on is standing plumb, and now it's just you. And if you want to get better at it, then devote 20 minutes of practice every day. So you draw lines down the face of your board, and you just practice sawing to them. And eventually, you'll get the feel for it. Now, we have a little device. Do I have it in here, Jake? We came up with a device we call the Dovetail trainer. I've been going through, oh, here's right here. So this is actually the prototype. This little thing fits on the end of your saw. Clamp it on. It's made out of nylon of some sort. You put your saw in the vise, like so. You clamp this on. You clamp that in place. You set your little bubble level so it's right between them. And now when you saw, you just get that bubble where you want it and make your saw cut. And what it does is just gives you a feel. You do enough cutting, you'll eventually have a feel for where plumb is, and then you don't need it anymore. It also can be thrown over 10 degrees one side, 10 degrees the other, so that you can also practice the slopes on either side of a dovetail. Next, Rick.
B.R. Fensky. Can you talk about choosing between a good quality miter gauge versus a crosscut sled for a table saw?
Yeah, I would take a crosscut sled all the time because you're not having to move the board over the table. It's staying on the sled. You're using 2 slots instead of 1. And if you do it well, you can make it so that there's 0 slop. Miter gauges, I mean, I use them, but you got to get a good one. And everybody seems to come out with it. I've never found one that I really like other than the one that comes on the old general equipment, whether it's a bandsaw or the table saw. And, I would have a table sled 10 to 1, including 45 degree table saw sled. Next, Rick.
The next one's from Fat Boy Frames.
Fat boy.
How do you clamp hardwood edge binding on board that's longer than your clamps?
How do you clamp?
Hardwood edge binding on board that's longer than your clamps.
Oh, well, I've had to do that before. So I'll show you with this. I've done it with pipe clamps. So hook one clamp up on that end, and then hook the next clamp up to that on this end to stretch it out to whatever you need. A lot easier on pipe clamps, but yeah, just. Or you can also, if you're using pipe clamps, you can get a coupler which allows you to join two pipes. So you just cut threads in the pipe and connect them together. I don't have one right there, but I mean, a coupler's no big deal. Screw them together and you can make your clamp as long as you want. But for something quick, just do what I just did right there. Just clamp, use your clamps to extend your reach. Next, Frick.
David and Nancy Kessler.
David and Nancy.
Do you ever have a problem with rust on chisels?
No, but my shop is air conditioned. The humidity doesn't change. It does very little. And yeah, if you're in a shop that's unheated or you don't control the environment, then that's a problem. In that case, make a tool cabinet that closes up and have a light bulb. We can't use those light bulbs anymore. Somehow provide a source of heat in there to keep the heat up so the moisture stays down. But no, I haven't had to deal with chisels with rust. Oh, we also we make here's a plug. We make cases for our saws and our chisels that is made out of VCI, vapor corrosion inhibitor. It's really high-tech stuff. The cases are made by a company that does military spec stuff, so chisels don't cut it, and you put your chisels in there and they won't rust. We tested it down in Florida. How long did it stay outside?
Month and a half, 2 months.
Month and a half, 2 months, not on the weather, but outside, and open up the roll after that and there was no rust. So stuff works. And Luther had a table cover for his saw stop because his shop was not heated, and he was in Washington, just in Roy, which is near Seattle. So it's on the wet side of the mountains. And he would put that cover down over top of his table saw, come back a month or two later, and never a speck of rust. So it does work. And there's nothing to wipe on or wipe off. Amazing. Next, Rick.
Next one's from Alfred Board.
Alfred.
What is your most favorite and least favorite Australian timbers?
Well, the only one that I routinely use would be lacewood. The rest of them are concrete. So stinking hard. Now, Tony brought us some Huron pine, which I like that. I might dig into that a little bit, but lacewood's the only one. Well, no, that's not true because I've had some Jara, but they're so hard. Wow. I don't know what it is about Aussie trees, but they are hard. Next, Frick.
Another one from David and Nancy. Do you trust double-sided tape versus the hold downs on jigs when using templates?
Well, yes, I've used them, and I haven't had them fail, so I guess that would be yes, I do. That interesting trick with masking tape and cyanacrylate glue is pretty cool too. You put tape on both sides, put a little bit of glue, cyanacrylate glue on the tape on one piece, spray some accelerator on the other piece, put them together, and instant bond. But when you pry it apart, you're just pulling the tape off of the board. So interesting. I've seen it done a few times. I tried it. I can't remember when we used it, but it worked. Next, Vic.
William Buckley from Australia.
Great.
What do you
Australia.
think of dovetail machines used with a router?
I never think of them. Not interested. Not interested, so I can't promote it. Can't tell you what one works. All I know is the setup time is a pain in the butt, and in my case, and the people that I teach, it's all about ownership. End of the day, you want to be able to say, I did that. So, I will make one comment. If you had 500 of something to do and they're all the same, well, it justifies the setup time. But most of us are making something that would have, if it had 3 or 4 different pieces dovetailed, they're all going to be different. So, and you can make them so much prettier by hand. Little pins. Next, Rick.
Last one from Matt Chu.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, Rob. I tried sharpening the back of my first chisel. I can't get a mere finish on an 8,000 grit stone. Do I drop down to a lower grit or stay at 8,000 and keep going?
Well, I don't know what you're using, but the stone that you are using needs to be flat and kept flat in order for it to work. And 8,000 should give you a mirror. So I don't know where you started, but ideally, if you start at 1,000, put something in between 1 and 8, like a 4 or a 6. And if you're spending a lot of time on the 8, then the 8's not the answer. You got to go back. You almost always, this is a situation where the stones aren't flat. And when the stones aren't flat, it just, you'll never get there. It's almost impossible. Got to have flat stones. Next, Rick.
That's it.
Wrap up.
Yep.
So we will see you folks back here on Thursday night, 8 o'clock my time, 7 Eastern. And we'll go through the room. I've got my assistant coming this week is an EOD from my class in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a great guy. Great guy. Can't wait to get him here. I don't know who the vets are, but I'll find out tomorrow night. And we've got 8 civilian students this time, so big class, 15. We're going to bump it up to 16. We've got the room, and that's the solution. Instead of having to raise the price, just bring in more people. We have 4 assistants every time, so it's a good ratio. Anyway, appreciate your support. Thank you. And we will see you in a matter of days. Take care.